Grandpa, tell me about growing up on the beach.
It was called 90 Mile Beach. I was cut off from the world. Then one day the world came to me.
Look!
They're too young. There's nothing we can do.
They won't die.
Can't eat proper fish. They're too small.
I've got an idea.
I don't think this is a good idea!
It worked.
You keep feeding them, I'll grow up to be big and strong.
It's amazing.
He's a good boy. You're a lucky man.
Good job, Mr. Frog.
All right, Mr. Percival, go find him.
I miss them. I know he misses them too.
Sometimes you gotta do what you know is right, even if they're gonna hate you for it. They're gonna have to go back soon. Wild things need to be free.
There'll be a storm soon.
Other kid I worked with, he's, not really a kid, he's 17 now, but Ed Oxenbold, he did Paper Planes and Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day. So he's an Aussie, and, you know, when I was younger, we had those videos on, those movies on DVDs, so we'd put them on, like, every month or something like that, and watch it. And I remember just thinking, oh, I kind of want to be like him when I'm older, and it really worked out. Yeah.
There you go. Some of my favourite pieces of cinema are Aussie films. Generally, not so much in the, I mean, this is a little more of an intimate portrait, I think, than some of the, I think we've always done like good, low-rent gangster, like urban crime stuff really well. Like, grew up, you know, like just adoring like Chopper, you know, Two Hands was a favourite film of mine back in the day, Gregor Jordan's thing, and or like, what's that amazing Aussie Western, The Proposition. I like Blood and Guts and, you know, swear words.
And was that kind of stuff, though, directly kind of made you go, oh, I'd like to do some of that?
I don't know, yeah, kinda, in a way. I think because it's, I don't know, there's like bonus connective kind of points there when you're in touch with stories that are like set in your backyard, you know, essentially. And yeah, for me, I mean, growing up, when I was developing the kind of ambition to become an actor, I was in the theatre, really. And I didn't really know how to join the dots in my mind to like say I wanted to be in movies. That wasn't really till I started training, you know, almost after school, where I kind of understood that like that's something you could really pursue. But those are the stories I always loved and connected to most, were like kind of Aussie like crime things.
That you're either going to become a criminal or an actor.
Exactly, and it was kind of like they're the people I idolised. Well, you know,
we had a bit of pre-production and had a bit of time to warm up to each other, and I think we kind of clicked, you know.
We did.
I think it was a pretty good relationship we had before the film, and that really made it quite natural during it. Yeah, it's quite different to the one we've got, though. Yeah.
I think that the given circumstances of their relationship was something that we both had a great understanding of, even if our kind of interpretation had to come from, different angles in a way. You know, it's kind of like we would discuss things around like the love that Hideaway has for Stormboy. And, you know, through Finn's eyes, that might be kind of on a different scale or maybe not even quite there in a place where he can kind of digest it and understand it within his character. And I would kind of sit there and think, yeah, like I wouldn't want to disrupt his opinion of it necessarily, but I know for myself, I'm like, this, because a father treats his son this way doesn't mean that he doesn't adore him. You know, it's a different kind of affection. And that's something that you partially have to share with one another and also protect and keep to yourself as part of the creative process, so that, you know, we have the trust to work together, but there also has to be moments where you rely on that trust to kind of suspend things a little, you know? There were times when I had to kind of not be so friendly to Finn. And we're trying to pull the truth out of those moments. But we're granted the permission to by one another because we know that, when the director calls cut, that we're going to look at each other and check that we're cool and, say good job and on to the next.
Some scenes were a bit weird for me, but we were cool at the end. Yeah. It was all good.
It's a different thing. It's from another time, and look, I look to influences in my life to kind of draw upon that aren't, that are men that might have grew up in this era, and I think as I've gotten older, I've grown to understand that as well. There are men in my life that aren't necessarily the most expressive individuals with their love and affection. And there were times that as a younger person that I didn't understand that. And I thought that meant something that it didn't, So it was kind of cool to get in touch with that a little more and let it feed into what I wanted to build for this character.
I think Michael is a bit too young to understand. Like, his dad's doing the right thing for him, but he's too young to understand that it is the best for him, and his dad just wants the best for him. Yeah.
Pelicans.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, they were legit pelicans.
Yes.
So, but they were trained, obviously.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you're not going to come up to any pelican and
No.
Any old.
We didn't
he's not
just,
wrangling
We didn't just choose one every day. We're like, oh, which one do we want? Oh, he looks good. But no, we did a bit of pre-production with them and warmed up to them, me and Jai, and it was really good. They are beautiful birds and they're quite clumsy, but they are great to work with. And it is quite difficult to create a bond with them at first, but it is, once you get it, you feel really good about it.
Yeah.
Any on-set stories of them pooping on you or something? I don't know.
God, can you still smell me?
They're well looked after. They're well groomed. These
Yes.
ones. They're Hollywood pelicans.
But when they did fly away, I did hear an anecdote where the shot where
Mr. Percival.
Thank you.
Yes.
Where he flew away, and I heard that took a while to get right or something.
It's kind of interesting. There's elements of that all over the film where, of course, we have amazing handlers and the birds are trained, but, not so readily to the point where, you're not kind of toying with, it's a wild animal. And, there were a few moments where we had to wait for a pelican to come back. Yeah. We're kind of like, okay. And everyone's sort of sitting there thinking, fingers crossed. You know what I mean? It's like, Stormy, she'll be back. And, there's a few nail-biting moments there for a minute.
Yeah. Like in history, you had Robert Tutterwally, who was in Jeddah all those years ago, one of the first Aboriginal actors we've had, and along the way on screen, you've got David Goldwell. Now I remember watching Storm Boy in the 80s, because the movie came out in '76, and I love the whole story between that connection or the relationship between the bird and the boy, but also the blackfellow element, and which David did so wonderfully well. He's so electrifying. He's the person that can command the camera to do what he makes everybody sort of around him kneels down before him, to get that amount of magic. Because you walk into a room, the bloke, there's such an awe that surrounds him, a certain kind of magic, and he has that. But he inspired me as a kid, and I will,
Storm Boy in particular?
Yeah, Storm Boy. And, the other films that he's done in the past as well. And I got the opportunity to work with Sydney Theatre Company in conjunction with Buck and Gecko. So I played a stage version of Fingerbone Bill, and I thought, oh, this is it, I made it. One of the things I can, tick the box with. But then it didn't stop from there. I was asked to be part of this, and I knew there were other people that auditioned for the same role as well, and it was just the chemistry that needed to be, questioned, I suppose. So the director casting, the chemistry, I guess, what they were looking for. I met Finn Little, and we straight away we started bonding straight away. So there was a beautiful chemistry. Like in the duration of the whole film, as you do with anybody, you get to know someone. He was a person that had that thirst just to hang around. Because I remember the first time after we shook hands and met, and I said, I just got to tell you about a story, a pelican story, a certain Dreamtime story that I know. So we engaged like that straight away. And I guess maybe in my mind that Sean, the director, saw this, and it was almost that we were scripting something else, but in correlation with the story of Fingerbone and Stormboy, you know, because there's that part in the story where he talks about, you know, the land, the nature, you know, gives them life lessons, you know, about the birds and what they do, and those beautiful magical stories that we have in our own culture, you know what I mean? Straight away, we connected, and it was beautiful.
I have to comment, it's a pretty special beard, Trevor.
What it's doing to me really is getting me a lot of roles, actually.
So it's a good luck charm.
It's its own entity in itself, and it's taking over my face.